tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hello, AfterBuzzers! Tonight we are recapping Season 5, Episode 2 of New Girl, titled What About Fred? First of all, before we jump into this episode, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in. And hey, if you guys want to keep the conversation going on Twitter, use the hashtag ABTVNewGirl, and we can absolutely have conversations about predictions, what you thought about tonight's show. I'm your host, Kellie Knezovich, and you guys can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Kellie Knez. And I'm joined by two beautiful co-hosts, Michelle and Fiona.
Hi.
Hi. Where can everyone follow you on social media?
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at _MichelleFee.
You can find me on Instagram at Fiona Zaring and on Twitter at Fiona_TV.
I like it. Well, welcome, Fiona.
Thank you.
So excited you're here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
It's a good show. You chose a good one.
Show.
Such a fun show.
What did you guys think of tonight's episode?
I loved it.
I thought it was really good, but there were a lot of parts where I was like super annoyed.
But
Really?
I always
How so?
love being annoyed by them.
No, I mean like, yeah, no. I get it. Like they're like annoying funny parts, but I was just really annoyed by Schmidt the entire time.
Oh.
But he was typical Schmidt, though, no?
Yeah, but I thought he was being the absolute worst. Like he kind of made Nick be the bad bot, you know, like good cop, bad cop, so he was kind of making him be the mean one, and he wasn't stepping in to help out at all, which I thought was like kind of rude. Like he kind of left his friend out there to hang, and his employees like kind of hated him for a little bit.
See, I feel like he was trying to make Nick the manager and teach Nick Schmidt's ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Schmidt has been in, what do you say, he's been in the business for
nearly
half a decade or something.
Yeah.
Like that. So he knows. He's a professional. So I felt like he was kind of trying to teach Nick how to be a manager and how to be professional. What was it called? Corporate 101?
Corporate 101 with Schmidt.
Yeah. Fiona, FYI, Michelle and I tend to disagree on everything about this show.
Oh, so exciting.
We
I'll find out whose team I'm on. Who I line up with more. Okay.
You may kind of find yourself going on both sides. Like, for instance, I want Jess and Nick to be together.
Me too.
Oh, I love you. You
me
can
too.
stay.
You don't want Jess and Nick?
No, okay, Kellie, you always set me up for Liz. It's not that I don't want them to be together. It's just I feel like they shouldn't be together now.
Why?
Because like I just don't. There's just like so much that they
could do
have to,
without
like, figure.
them.
Yeah, like
being
there's so much
together.
they can do without them together, and I feel like they just need to kind of also be their own person. Like there's so much that they like need to do on their own and not be in a relationship like with each other, and I just feel like I don't know. Like
I could see
that's
that.
just to me though.
I like, my favorite part's the build-up. I like the build-up to relationships on TV shows most of the time, but they're like one of the only TV couples that I was like, you know, you don't get bored. Like, you get bored, like, oh, okay, they're together. Like, I've seen it, I'm over it. I never got over them. And then they broke them up, and I was like, what? I liked it. There was so much more they could have done.
Right.
Well, we have, 20-something episodes
20
to see
something
what
episodes.
they do, if they do anything with them as a
Please
couple.
do something.
We shall see. So I feel like tonight there were pretty much two groups. There was the Schmidt, the Nick, and the Cece group. And then there was the Winston and Jess.
Right.
So first, let's dive into Schmidt and Nick and Cece. First of all, in my opinion, Cece, I was blown away by how she was being so rude to Nick, and within an instant, she'd be like, sorry, babe, you know I have to do this. I love you. I support you so much. And then right back to
that was
hating
just so
on
not
Nick.
Cece. That's so not
I
how
was
she is as a character normally, ever. I've never seen outside of her. But like mushy, like it's not. It wasn't Cece.
It was a little odd for me to see when Schmidt came up behind her and she's like, "Oh, babe, what is that for?" Like I was like,
Right.
I don't know this. What's happening?
It's just not their dynamic. It never has been.
You guys are growing up.
That's
like
true.
actually
That's true.
being a couple.
No, you're
now.
right.
Yeah.
I have to remember that. I always forget that. I'm used to their bickering ways and
Yeah.
Cece
Right.
kind of constantly putting him down and being like, "Oh, you're so annoying," or so judgmental of
Right.
Schmidt.
Yeah.
But now I think they are kind of, they're very vulnerable with one another.
Mm-hmm.
Just cute. It's just
Yeah.
different.
Mhm.
It's just different.
And
Yeah.
we see that that Jess is like, man, I want that. I want the lovey, and same with Winston too. I want the lovey-dovey relationships. Like,
Right.
I want to skip all the first dates, the awkward dates, and just go right into that part.
Don't we all?
Don't we all?
Don't we all?
Oh, gosh.
Well, we can't have it all, so
Yeah,
you gotta
Thanks,
try.
Kellie.
I know.
Thanks for reminding me that.
Michelle, you know I love you. So Nick and Schmidt, they buy the bar. They are part
Finally.
owners. I know.
Like,
it's
it's
taken
totally-
5
it took them
seasons.
long. I was gonna say
Yeah.
it took them 5 seasons to get there.
Right.
Yeah, no, but it's exciting times for them. I feel like they're trying. Wasn't it last? It was last episode where Cece's mom is not going to be helping out with the wedding, so I'm a little shocked
Right.
that they are able to
Get the
afford
bar.
the bar.
Interesting.
Yeah,
It's
but
been a long time coming, though.
that's true. Maybe
Yeah.
they've saved up for it.
Yeah.
Well, also, I feel like if they didn't do something new with the bar, it might be time to like move Nick somewhere else or have them like grow out of the bar. And I think the bar is such a fun part of the show. It's like a good.
It's kind of a character.
It's like a good place for them all to be together. A lot of big scenes happen in the bar, so why get rid of it and why
Right,
let
yeah.
it become boring? You know.
And
I feel like they
speaking of
needed
big
to.
scenes, a lot happened in the bar.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of emotions. You have the awkward meeting where Nick is trying to be a manager, and it's
Right.
just so awkward.
So
and finally,
bad.
Javier just says, "What does he say?" He says, "Your mom,
Something
or your
about
mother,
your mother.
and
Inside joke.
breaks the ice. And
Yeah.
that's what they needed. They all needed a good laugh. And I see Schmidt. He's kind of in the background, just kind of.
Like, silently judging.
Yeah, and he's trying to push Nick. Oh, be this way. Wear this tie.
Right.
Wear the. We need uniforms for everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
And but we never see Schmidt tell his employees what to do. That's why I think he's like the ultra manager, and then you have Schmidt be
Yeah.
the associate
Right.
manager, and then he's
Right.
trying to teach him his ways.
I think it was almost like he was trying not to step on Nick's toes by doing that.
Mhm.
Because if he steps in and he looks like the boss, they're not going to respect Nick as the boss, less than
Right.
like judging.
But see, it's
Right.
already awkward because they're all friends.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so hard.
That's why it's hard because you respect him on a friend level, but it's really hard to differentiate a friend to a boss.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the workday, you're back to friends. Like that's just
And shut
it's
it
weird.
off.
My brain can't do it. I don't
No.
know how they
No,
would be
I
able
totally
to do it.
understand. I think, there's like a really fine line you can straddle with, being a boss and being a friend.
Right.
And obviously, like, Nick finds that balance, like, at the very end.
Mhm.
But I just feel like the way Schmidt, like, pushed him to be, like, a boss and a manager, like, hard, it was just too soon. And,
Yes.
like, I just feel like he could have... I know it's, like, Schmidt being Schmidt, but, like, he could have gone about it a better way. Like, he could have been like, hey, this is how you be a manager, but, like, find that line. Like, you can still be their friend, but make sure they know that you're also their boss. Like, you know what I mean?
It was just too harsh.
Could have
Yeah.
eased into it.
Yeah.
Right.
Slowly.
And finally, we see Nick just. I think he kind of takes it upon himself. He's kind of like, okay, I get the hang of this whole managerial thing. I get it. I'm strong enough. And Javier, I'm firing you. You're fired.
Yeah. Because
And
Nick gets carried away.
He
Yeah,
does.
You're right, he does.
And Cece
Classic
went
Nick.
off.
Yeah.
Cece was like, I'm sorry, you're firing him? And then, might as well all of us leave too. And so she just took off her shirt or her work shirt.
Her work shirt. You gotta clarify
And-
that.
I know, right? And they all just walked out and they had no employees at the
Yeah.
end of the day. And we see how Nick and Schmidt are having major difficulties trying to
Right.
run the bar on their own.
Such a mess.
It was awful.
The bar looked more crowded
Yeah.
than it's
Yeah.
ever looked.
I was just thinking that.
More,
You're
I
right.
was
I
laughing
know.
at that. I was like, the bar's never
Never
been this
crowded.
packed when they
Right.
have the full staff.
But I love Cece just chilling there, watching
Like,
everything.
I'm here to support you, and it's like, can you not right now? Cece? Like, can you not?
And yet Schmidt is eating it all up. He's like, oh, thanks, babe. You're the best. What would I do without you? I'm like, come on. This is not supposed to happen.
Right.
But finally, is it Nick and Schmidt talk and say they need to have the whole crew back? Or does Nick decide it on his own? I can't remember.
I think Nick came up with it on his
Yeah.
own, and then Cece came up
Oh,
with it, and then
oh,
Schmidt
that's
was
right.
like,
Cece
that's
backs
a great
it.
idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cece gives it her seal. Cece
Right.
really didn't want to take Nick as a boss seriously from the beginning. She like when
I don't
she's
think
pouring,
anyone can,
when she's
though.
pouring the shots, she had a really hard time sort of adjusting, but then she sort of seems to come around, you know, and support him at the end, which I liked.
I think because he lightened up a little bit.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, I really do need all this help. I can't do it on my own.
Right.
And she was like, well, if you're nicer to us, you know, and not as terrible of a boss as you were, then we would all gladly come back. And so he goes to Javier's place with Schmidt. I don't know why. Because Schmidt had nothing to do with him being fired, and it was clearly Nick's responsibility to go and apologize. And well, according to Schmidt, you're not supposed to apologize.
They're a team.
Yeah, they are a team. That's true. But we saw at the end of that scene how Javier was like, okay, Nick, I'm coming back for you. And then when Schmidt's like, all right, yeah, can I get a handshake? No. Okay.
Awkward.
They are a team, but at the end of the day, I think the argument and the problem was between Nick and Javier and Nick and the team.
Right.
Not so much Schmidt.
No.
Right.
So, I mean, at least everything seems to be good on that end. Hopefully.
Hopefully it lasts.
Hopefully, yeah. We shall see.
We will see.
Let's switch over to Winston and Jess. Jess had her, I think it was both Winston and Jess, they were like, oh man, we hate, you know, the first date relationships. We just want to get to the actual relationship part of everything.
Right.
She's like, I'm kind of dating this guy. What? I think, Fiona, you wrote it down. The badass something.
I have it. I just
The
lost it.
dope-ass home
The
theater.
dope-ass home theater.
Yeah, you got it.
I love it. Yeah. So she started dating this guy named Fred, who we didn't really get to see too much of until she actively tried to get to know him, and we really did not need to see that. But we see that she loves his parents. She loves his parents, and that's the relationship that she wants to not be in, but she wants to be around those people because they love each other so much, and she loves how much they love each other.
And they're so fun.
They are fun.
They're quirky.
They're a lot of fun.
They're like they're perfect for Jess.
They're perfect in general. They have the most awesome dates.
Yeah.
Right.
What was it? Painting in the park?
Yeah.
Painting in the park. What was the other one? Something about.
They casually said when we lived in Europe.
Yeah, was that maybe at a
Lived in
Paris thing?
So I was
Yeah.
like,
The other one?
Okay, I'll do that someday.
Oh, the Vermont house.
That's
The
right.
Vermont house, yeah. The picture perfect Vermont house that they redid together for fun.
So Winston and Jess have a conversation, and Winston's like, you can't be in the relationship with parents. You have to get to know Fred. And I was kind of surprised that Winston was giving advice.
Winston had a really mature moment.
He
a
did.
few
Right.
times tonight where he said things that really made sense.
Well, and it's always funny because we were talking last episode with the whole prank and how his pranks are either so lame or way too big that it's just like, don't ever do that again.
Right.
And his, I mean, I wouldn't call it a prank, but how Jess told him to stall in terms of not getting Fred to the dinner that
so
they're all waiting at.
Yeah.
I was pretty impressed with Winston. I just was impressed with Winston this whole episode.
He did a good job.
He was really spot on with everything he had to say, the advice that he had to give, which I thought was funny. I mean, why would Jess go to Winston for relationship advice?
Right.
But someone finally did, and he had good stuff to say. I figured it would be like all because you see the scene of him like with the cat. Talking the joke he makes about like, oh, like your sister this, like he's so quirky, but then when someone actually went to him for legitimate advice, he gave it, which
and it was great advice.
It was great advice.
Yeah.
It was so I like feel so proud of Winston.
I thought that was a really funny moment too when he was talking with Flip and Nancy. And they were like, you know, he's talking about the knot, and they were like, oh, I think you have a knot right in here. You have to let it go or let her go or whatever it was.
Right.
And, you know, that was his moment of, wow, I love Flip and Nan.
Right.
Like, I do understand, Jess, why you want to be with, you know, why you want to hang out with them and not so much Fred. And so at that point, I know, poor Fred. But guys, come on.
So boring.
He was the worst.
During that dinner conversation when he was talking about trains, and then somehow he magically went to something else, I couldn't even focus.
Right, like I couldn't even follow the conversation.
I almost felt like it was too long for like us. I almost felt like, okay, enough. Like we get it that he's boring. Just cut it. Like enough. I don't want to hear anymore.
I stopped listening.
Yeah.
Michelle, you stopped listening.
I definitely
Fiona,
did.
I'm
tuned out when he said, "Do you do it costumed? Like, do you train costumed?" And I was like, "Oh, for the love of God, I'm over it." I don't know
I'm sure
what he's
all
saying.
the fans. I'm sure they intended for for us to be tuned out, but I kind of didn't really like that moment because they don't want to be tuned out of New Girl and start thinking about, all the groceries I have to, I don't want to think, I want to be in the show. And that just kind of took me out of it a little bit. Mm-hmm. It was a little too long for me, but, it got the point across.
We got it. Fred sucks. Fred's boring.
He is
Poor
boring.
little Fred.
It's funny, when Jess was having the conversation with Nancy and Flip, and she was kind of like, oh my gosh, your son is so boring, like I can't do it, I want to hang out with you guys though. And I was really shocked that they understood.
Yeah.
Me
too.
And then they said, let's make a deal. And at that moment, question for you guys and the fans out there, did any of you guys have did something come to mind when they said, let's make a deal?
I didn't like them anymore. When I was hoping, like, they seemed so perfect the whole show. I was like, oh my God, Jess did not just say that. Like, they're about to go off on her. Like, they love their son. Like, and then they didn't. And then they, like, wanted to make a deal. And then I just was like, oh, I don't love you as much.
Yeah.
Like, I get that their son sucks and they are being realistic. And they didn't say anything, like, terrible. Mm-hmm. It didn't make them as special for me anymore. I didn't care as much.
I definitely agree with that. I was just like, I knew what was coming when they were like, let's make a deal, and I was like, oh my God, an ultimatum. Like, I don't know, like, I wanted them so badly to not say, stay with our son and you can hang out with us.
Yeah.
Because they did seem like such a perfect couple, but...
It kind of reminded me, that whole let's make a deal conversation kind of reminded me of Failure to Launch with Sarah Jessica Parker and Matthew McConaughey.
Yes.
Because they hire Sarah Jessica Parker to get him to date their son so that he can move out.
Right.
Obviously, Nancy and Flip weren't trying to get obviously they would love their son to be out, but that wasn't the main goal.
Right.
They're just like, I want someone to date my son and to be with my son.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like, it's a little sketchy for me. I didn't
really
love like it. Yeah, because I think we saw them in this beautiful, perfect light.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like, no, that was just kind of
and when they
punched
said,
to our stomachs.
imagine us as grandparents.
She's like, oh, I have.
Yeah, but I was
I
like,
haven't already.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I was like, it's taking it too far. Like, what do you mean imagine? Like, you've only hung out with her a few times. He's like, it became too much for me. It kind of creeps me out from them.
Right.
I was like, you guys are too into yourselves, maybe.
So do you guys think we're going to be seeing Fred, Flip, or Nancy in future episodes?
No, I think this is
They're done.
I don't
think they're done.
Yeah, I don't think, how could they bring them back, I kind of hope not. I thought it was funny, but I kind of hope we don't see
Maybe
them again.
it was like a one episode thing.
Yeah.
They're good.
Like a one-off.
We don't need to see you guys again. But I did like them. I did like their character.
It was a good episode. It was good for this episode.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't want it to be dragged out.
Yeah.
Not too much.
So I think that's pretty much it. Does anyone else have anything to add from this episode?
I don't think so.
Okay, I want to get into a little bit of news and gossip.
AFTERBUZZ TV News.
So last week there was a conversation, or an interview about with Liz Meriwether about what we can expect this season.
Mm-hmm.
She also gave a little bit more to Yahoo TV on again what we can expect this season. And one of the things that was asked, which I didn't even think about, was, will we learn Schmidt's first name in the wedding vows?
Oh.
I didn't even I just forgot that.
I didn't think he had a name. I just thought he was Schmidt.
That was his name.
Well, her answer is, we're still talking about it, but there's a real strong possibility. I think that's what we're talking about. I wonder what his name is. Like, if it's something so normal, or like Dan or Paul or Josh or something.
Like a name.
I didn't really realize that they were keeping it from us. That was like a thought.
I didn't even think about it. Exactly. Same here.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then I know we were talking, I think you tweeted, Michelle, about, like, literally that night or the day after our show, where Jess is going for maternity leave. And she's going to jury duty, but it is a celebrity jury, so she can't contact them or do anything.
Okay.
And then we also talked about last week, Fiona, about what we think Megan Fox's character is going to bring to...
Oh, I'm so interested
in
this.
We were all kind of thinking that, because she's super sexy, we were all thinking that she would bring some sort of sexiness and all the guys would be interested in her, or there might be like a relationship between her and Winston, or her and Nick, or her and, someone else. Right. So Yahoo TV said, okay, so what can you tell us about Megan's character? And not what I was expecting. Liz says she's kind of this tough pharmaceutical rep that travels a lot and isn't used to making roots or making friends with people. And she kind of sees through everything and sees that they're like a bunch of idiots. And I just didn't see that happening.
That is not, I wouldn't have predicted that in a million years. Maybe they thought it would be too expected for her to come in and be like sexy. And like,
well, I mean, that's all we thought of. Yeah.
Right.
Interesting.
So I'm excited to see, how that plays out.
I hope she's funny. Like, if they're going for, like, the unexpected, I hope they give her either, like, really funny lines, or I hope that there's a side of her acting-wise that we haven't seen yet, and that she's, like, really good at delivering these, like, one-liners and things like that.
I think the script is so well written that I think even if she... I just think she would be able to deliver them well, because I think the character is probably pretty, well lined out, and I think it's just... however they're going to do this pharmaceutical rep, I'm not sure, but I think that she's going to be able to pull it off.
Me too. I wonder if that means no love connection between her and any of the guys, or if she could still be,
if the guys are interested in her.
It's still, like if that would still be a thing, or if she's just the pharmaceutical rep and that's it.
Yeah.
I guess we shall see.
We shall see. Oh, I'm so excited for that.
I feel like this is a perfect time to get into predictions.
Ooh.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
All right, Fiona, do you want to take a shot?
Well, my predictions was going to be something, or this is like a selfish prediction because this is what I want to happen. I would
like the way you think.
I would really love for us to see Nick and Winston, but mainly Nick, sort of have a relationship that just he doesn't like, that makes him go immediately back to Jess, but like grown up a little bit. Like have him like have some sort of quick relationship, and then while he's in that relationship have an epiphany that he wants Jess. That's like all I really want, and I feel like they're not really giving us any Nick and Jess vibes, which for some reason makes me think like right around the corner Nick and Jess might be a thing. And with Winston,
I like it.
I just want Winston to have someone, because I love when Winston has someone.
He just has Ferguson right now. I mean,
he's talking about it. He's talking about like wanting to be in love, and he seems so mature that I feel like maybe they're setting Winston up for real love. I don't know.
Was the relationship he was talking about, was that with his coworker?
No, I think it was the woman from last season who he met.
Wait, the one like
who's like, I hate cops.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, no, me too. Like, he's not going to tell her that she's a cop, that he's a cop. I think that's the girl.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
I forgot. Did he say Casey? Not Cece. I think missed it was Casey.
I don't remember.
I can't remember.
I missed it. It was fast, but I think that's who I thought it was. I didn't think it was the coworker.
I mean, we haven't seen her. It's been 2 episodes. We haven't seen her at all, so it must not be strong enough to...
Maybe she's busy. Guys, maybe she's just busy.
Maybe she is busy, yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
I like it.
That's all.
Michelle, predictions?
Well, going off on that whole Winston thing, I do want to see his relationship with, if her name is Casey. I want to see that girl. Just because I feel like we've had enough of Winston being alone. Exactly. And he's, like, a really quirky person, and, like, like, everyone loves him, but it's like, can we see him be in love as opposed to seeing everyone else in love, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just like more Winston time. So I'm predicting that.
I know. I was gonna have a prediction about Winston as well. I actually really liked the scene tonight between him and his partner with the whole. I mean, granted, the breakdancing was phenomenal,
amazing.
But I loved how Winston was kind of like, thanks for helping me out, and she was entertaining the idea, and she loved it. She was went along for the ride, and so I don't know. Maybe something there. Maybe they set that up because
she's cute. She's always been kind of quirky. Like, I think that could work.
Yeah. I think they're like so opposite from each other though. Like,
but maybe that's why.
Like a really tough person.
They're opposite, but they're both quirky. You know, so like it could work.
It could work.
Right.
Well, we have 20-something episodes to wait and see what happens, if anything happens. Guys, I think that's it. We're wrapping up.
Yeah.
Please join us next week for another recap of New Girl. And you guys can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Kellie Knez.
You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at _Michelle.
You can oh my gosh, I can talk. You guys can follow me on Instagram at Fiona Zaring, and you can follow me on Twitter at Fiona_TV.
Thank you so much, guys. See you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.